Hey everyone, welcome back to another Disney Movies Ranked and Reviewed. Have you ever wondered what The Lord of the Rings would be like if it were terrible? Well, you're in luck, because this movie has single-handedly made me want to give Peter Jackson a big old bear hug. What a lovable scamp. But then I remember the Hobbit movies. Oh. Get ready to discuss The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings. The Black Cauldron. This movie starts with a boy, let's just call him Frodo, who has delusions of grandeur and has a magical pig. He leaves his magical master, let's just call him Gandalf,
Fool of a took,
because he's told the quest lies on his shoulders.
to rest on his young shoulders.
What quest, you may be asking? Well, we're never really told. They just have to stop the ugly horned guy. As he is questing, he meets one of the worst, furriest, and dumbest characters in all of cinematic history. Let's just call him Gollum.
Nobody likes you.
Actually, this stupid little furball is named Gurgi. Ew. Which is apt for him because the name itself both makes me want to barf up the bacon that I had for breakfast this morning and kill a pig boy at the same time. He is our movie's stupid side character, but to call him an SSC is to insult all the past SSCs that have been in movies throughout all of history. I wish I could just kick him in the face and puke all over him while pushing him down the stairs into the Sarlacc pit. Yes, I just mixed movies, but this movie mixes the identities of countless adventure movies that you've ever seen, and at the same time has no identity of its own to speak of whatsoever, so I don't care. We meet the Horned King, who takes pleasure in killing everything, and yet has no motivation for anything. Speaking of motivation, none of these characters has any compelling reason whatever to do anything. Our protagonist is trapped and finds a magic sword that has been sitting in plain view for years. Apparently, no one else has ventured to find this sword ever. They find 7 dwarf fairies / fairy hobbits to help them find the pig. Let's see, what else? Oh, as if the stupidest fairies in the world weren't bad enough, there are these horrible witches that are like if the fairies in Sleeping Beauty were the fairies in Sleeping Beauty. They're dumb, they make bad life decisions, and they don't help anything in the story move forward. They are also very selfish, but that's kind of the point of them, so I'll give them a pass there. They uncover the cauldron, which has been hidden for a matter of at least several years, allowing the Horned King to use it because they are idiots. The worst character in history dies, and I do a little Irish jig. In the end, a very climaxless climax compels the Horned King into the fires of Mount Doom, and our protagonist still has done nothing to help the story along. I hate this movie so much. The Fox and the Hound is hated by me because it is a sad story, but at least it is a very, very good storyline and a very well put together movie, which is why I ranked it so highly. Link right up here. But this movie is painful in every conceivable way and pointless in every other. Let's talk about it, I guess. Before we rank this video though, please like this video and smash that subscribe button. 80% of the people who watch my videos have not subscribed, and I'm sure you're one of them. And you'll want to subscribe because pressing that little red button turns you into a Disney fan. That's right? Yes. It says so right here. Please don't sue me, Disney. Here are a few of our newest Disney fans. Also, leave a comment below and I might feature your comment also on the next Disney Movies Ranked and Reviewed. And check me out on Twitter at NotYourNormalG1. We are ranking every Disney movie right now through polls, and you will want to have your voice heard. And I want to hear your voice too in this. At first, I had the false illusion that this movie might actually be engaging. The movie itself seems to set up a lot of storylines that seem they could have a bit of a story arc, but this fact just adds insult to injury. First of all, we meet Taran, otherwise known as Frodo. Taran is a sweet boy who would like to be a knight someday. Great, perfect motivation. But then we realize that he is a completely selfish little prick who doesn't know how to care about anyone but himself and believes that he deserves the honor. It would be one thing if Taran learned the error of his selfish ways and began to care for others, but this is not the path the writers choose for him. And on his pathetic, childish shoulders lies the entire issue with this movie. Taran never does anything. Taran is told to leave his Gandalf lair, but then he ventures into the castle where the Horn King can find the pig that apparently is magical somehow, and somehow the Horn King is going to use the magic of that pig. Taran doesn't protect the pig at all and is not anywhere near the ability to fight for the pig like the White Knight that he so obviously thinks he is. So, Story Beat 1, you have already failed at your master's quest. Story Beat 2, they have to find the pig for sentimental reasons, apparently. And they do, but who cares? The pig is less than useless for the rest of this story. The only redemption for him would be if you turned him into delicious bacon to give you sustenance for the rest of this journey. Story Beat 3, they need to find the cauldron before the Horned King does. They find the cauldron that has been hidden for years. Why has the Horned King not gone after it before, you may ask? We don't know. The fairies even say he'll never find it. It's safely hidden in Marva. I think they say Marva. But Taran, being the idiot he is, decides he absolutely has to meddle in the affairs of others. They trade their only weapon to uncover the cauldron, so the cauldron is sitting in the middle of an open field. That's good thinking. This only helps the Horn King find the cauldron. Good job, Taran, you trigger-happy fool. He thinks he has to find the cauldron to stop the Horn King. But stop the Horn King from what? Sitting on his throne surrounded by idiots? Let's just let him keep doing that. He's only hurting the idiots. It's okay. We have never heard that the Horn King is planning anything or gaining power or going to destroy the world in 24 hours or whatever. There are no stakes in this movie, no ticking time bomb, no reason to give a damn, so I frankly don't. Anyway, the cauldron is out in the open, the Horn King gets it, and Gurgi sacrifices himself. Sound familiar? And Gurgi is another plot that just fails in every conceivable way, but we'll talk about that, I guess, in character. For now, this plot is awful. It's too derivative to be interesting, but too unfamiliar to be comforting. The motivations of any of these characters make no sense, and the story beats are completely nonsensical. This story is literally just, Lord of the Rings did it, so I guess we should too. Which always makes for a great movie, am I right? Never mind that Lord of the Rings had story beats and clearly set up stakes, and a bad guy with clearly mounting power and rings that admittedly did not make a whole lot of sense. But the story of The Lord of the Rings has tension because it has stakes. Within the rules of the movie, you know that when people die, they do not live again, and you feel that. The first time I saw The Lord of the Rings, I left the theater with rubber legs because I could not take my face off the screen. I couldn't look away from it. However, this movie, because of its comic framing throughout a very serious story that is a wannabe Lord of the Rings ripoff, has stakes that mean nothing. You know that a movie this jokey will never kill off a main character. So even when Gurgi sacrifices himself, you just don't care at all. Not to mention that he's annoying as I give this movie 19th place out of 25 movies so far. It's better than the movies that don't have storylines, but even The Sword in the Stone has a better storyline than this stinker. The music of this story is enchanting and does transport you into an adventurous state. However, there are no singable tunes. This movie was a pretty big change of pace for the Disney company. And it's a big gamble that, frankly, did not pay off in my opinion. At times, the music does help you to love this movie more. There was one scene looking up at the castle that made me say, "Oh my word," out loud. And the music helped me feel that amazement. But that doesn't mean that I'm in love with this music. I'm going to rank The Black Cauldron at 17th place out of 25 movies so far. This music is beautiful. They don't sing, but that doesn't make the music itself bad. And it did make me feel awe at times, so I'm thankful for that. This animation looks like it does have some care in it. There is quite a few moments of multiplane action, and the character design of the Horned King is terrifying in the best way. The problem is the same problem the rest of this movie endures. It is completely split in half. It has these serious, beautifully executed characters alongside some extremely stupid cartoony characters. This movie was too timid in its execution because it felt the need to Disney-fy itself. There were times when this animation took my breath away, but there are also many times when this animation just made me cringe. Overall, I love this animation when it takes chances, and most of those chances are the darker elements. But when this movie does goofy things, it just feels so incongruent. I give this movie 11th place for animation out of 25 movies reviewed so far. There is not even one character in this movie that I like. Not even one. Taran fails at utterly everything. He is delusional about how amazing he is, and he thinks he deserves to be worshipped for the anti-hero that he is. When we put his desire to be worshipped next to this constant abject failure, he becomes completely insufferable. In the climax of the movie, he does absolutely nothing. It's just happenstance that the Horned King sucks himself into the cauldron. This effect creates a sour taste for this movie when it's over.
What was the point of the last hour and a half?
The wizard guy is fine at the beginning, but his part in the movie is pretty minimal. Princess Elanwe is a sexy lamp who does literally nothing to forward this plot. She really isn't even the love interest for Taran. She has about as much of a point to this narrative as a 10-pound bag of potatoes. The character who has the best story arc is actually Gurgi, which surprised me. In a way, I almost liked him, but not quite.
Gurgi will never see his friend again. No.
He is the one character that grows from his selfishness to sacrificing himself for the rest of the characters.
Away!
No, Gurgi not let his friend die.
Gurgi! No! Don't jump! Wait! No! No!
But Gurgi is also the most annoying character ever created. So here's the problem. When the only likable character in your movie is also your movie's most annoying character, you have a bit of a problem with your development. And Gurgi is very much the embodiment of what would have happened to Gollum in Lord of the Rings, were Gollum to have been played just a bit more or less than what Andy Serkis actually played him as. Somehow he masterfully stayed on the edge of a blade to be just perfect. The best character overall in this movie, as it stands, is the Horned King for his dark qualities. But that doesn't mean that he's really a good character overall. Any motivation or arc are completely non-existent within the framing of this movie. This movie may have existed just on the edge of a knife also, but this movie gives us a great example of what it looks like when a movie that exists on that edge falls off one side or the other. To me, that creates a movie deserving of 22nd place out of 25 movies reviewed so far for character development. I hate these characters and think that at least the characters of The Sword and the Stone have mild motivations. As much as I hate The Sword and the Stone, I would watch it 1,000 times before subjecting myself to this nonsense again. Did this movie just make me say something positive about The Sword and the Stone? Damn. Send help. This movie has limited technological advances. There is some multiplane action during the opening scene, and also a couple of multiplane use during the meadow scenes as well. My favorite scene was when the camera pans up to look at the castle from the outside. It's a beautiful scene, and as I said before, it made me gasp. To give a frame of reference here, The Hunchback of Notre Dame had a pan-out scene that was apparently very difficult for the animators on Hunchback. This was created a decade before that movie. The multiplane usage in this scene alone is masterful, but at this point in its relative history, it's not enough of a change to make this animation really stand out. It is one of the better sections of this movie, though. I give The Black Cauldron 15th place out of 25 movies reviewed so far for technology. The Black Cauldron encountered a lot of production hell while it was being developed, including some scenes that were so hardcore that one of the Disney bigwigs felt the need to edit it and cut out some of the more gruesome scenes. It was the first Disney movie to have a PG rating when it hit theaters, which was a much bigger deal at the time because there was no PG-13 rating. And it encountered a lot of issues along the way. I think if Disney had decided to branch out and do a much scarier, creepier, more serious movie without the lighter elements, this could have been a great movie. It could have even had some funny moments, but funny in a different, less slapsticky way. Instead, this movie is incredibly bad because it's uneven. Its storyline is next to non-existent, and the motivations of the characters are not there. This movie shows us exactly how close The Lord of the Rings came to being terrible also. Somehow, The Lord of the Rings produced an entire trilogy that was stunning while existing on the edge of a knife. It had motivated characters, had a little bit of humor, and included some very complex ideas. This movie has none of that, and yet wants to be The Lord of the Rings so bad. Overall, it's not worth your time to watch unless you are just a huge Disney fan and want to watch every single Disney movie. You know, like I am. Overall, The Black Cauldron receives 20th place out of 25 movies reviewed so far. Like I said earlier, drop a like and subscribe or the Horned King wins. If some of you like The Black Cauldron better than me, tell me why. Obviously, my opinion is not the only one, and I want to hear from you.